G'day, I'm Don Burke. Ben Swane and I have been friends for many, many years, probably more than 30 years. And he is one of the most extraordinary people I've ever met. He is a thoroughly decent and moral human being, and probably nobody ever has had an impact on the Nursery Association to the extent that Ben has.
My earliest memories of being in the garden was some spare land at the old nursery at Ermington. And Dad said you can use that bit of land if you like, and I started to grow vegetables. And when I was about 11 or 12, I sold those vegetables to an old greengrocer in West Ryde. My parents thought I should go on to further education. I wasn't really very good at school. And they sent me off to a college at Newington at Stanmore. That was fine, but I hated every day of the 4 years I was there. And then Mum said, well, you better go off to Tech. And the Tech in those days was at Ultimo in Sydney. So for 3 nights a week I had to catch the train into Sydney. If you missed a lesson, there weren't any written notes to go back to. You had to make your own notes. You had to do all the work yourself. And I think it was probably, in some ways, a better deal.
I first met Ben about 25 years ago, well, a bit less than that, when I went to Swain's for a job. Look, I must be one of the hundreds, probably thousands of people that have worked at Swain's over the years. And it was the best grounding, you know, the training, the things that we learnt there have, I think they've sort of largely kept the horticultural industry, certainly in Sydney and all around Australia, going.
First time I met Ben was all early in my working life. He'd been involved with my father and uncles for many years, a similar generation, and came to know Ben well during our time on the executive of Oz Citrus together. And we spent many years as I was chairman and Ben was nursery industry delegate. And he helped us with his experience in the nursery industry, in business and in life.
Probably Ben's single greatest achievement was that at a time when the nursery industry was struggling to become professional, he was the man of the moment. He had a stature such that he could talk to politicians, to Royal Agricultural Society people, to TAFE people, to do with apprenticeships and so on, and he was able to show a wonderful leadership, and yet through all of that maintain strong friendships with everyone in the nursery industry. There has never been anyone in the industry that has had such a strong leadership capacity as Ben.
Because I thought education was a pain in the neck in my early life, I realised then that education was about your way of life, and everything else that you did, you need to be educated. So yeah, it was a passion with me, and I'm proud to say that I think our firm trained more apprentices than anywhere else in Australia.
Well, they had so many apprentices. I mean, it was a bit of an apprentice factory in lots of ways, but and I remember they used to have a sign up in the nursery that explained what went into the apprenticeship, you know, how many years people had to study, how much it meant that you'd gone through that.
He was encouraging of young people, trained them well, trained them in the right things, and they've gone on to be leaders in their own generation of the nursery industry. And I think that'd be something that we'd get a great lot of comfort out of, to look at those guys and say, yeah, well, I trained them and they're doing well.
Some people used to bring their sons to us and say, this is Johnny, he's not the brightest boy and all this sort of thing. But really, my late sister Valerie was the best one of the lot. She would get hold of the apprentices and sort of flog them. And I mean literally educate them. A lot of people didn't like her. She was tough to work under, but she was responsible for a lot of people's lives.
Through everything that Ben did, he always had time to help others. I suppose the entire Swane family is very much prone to this weakness, that they will often spend time to the good of others, to the detriment of themselves. That was very much true of Valerie, it's true of Elwyn, It's true of all of them, and it's something that I particularly admire them for. There's no one that they wouldn't reach out to help, even if it means that their own business suffers.
I actually live not that far from Ben, and I know even in the local community, the work that he's done for the Rotary Club over the years, the local fire brigade, you know, all these sorts of organisations. He's given a lot of his time, always supported of course by Suzanne, who's been there and helping him get out the door, you know, going with him, supporting him, working with him, etc. And then of course all the family as well. It's been a great team, and they've certainly left a fantastic legacy.
I think the biggest highlight for me in my working life has been my family. I appreciate what all my family have done, and I've appreciated working with them. I think the next thing was my success in breeding the Swain's Golden Pencil Pine. That plant received the first gold medal in Australia. It was patented in America for 20 odd years. And then just in the last few years, the Burgundy Iceberg has been released. It's not as if you go about to try and do these things sometimes, it's just that they happen, and they're quite a thrill.
I think that people like Ben give new gardeners confidence, and there's always that little bit of inspiration as well, because he tells it as it is.
The Gregory Award is a very suitable award for Benny to be given. He knew Graham, so it's nice that he's able to take the Gregory Award, and I think it's well deserved.
I think the key to our success was the family. My late sister Valerie was a great writer, a great promoter. My brother Jeffrey, working with roses. And I just think that as a family we worked pretty well together for a long, long time. And I think the key to the success of it all was probably in our name. And that's something I'm quite proud of.